Hey everybody, Alex from SeemsGoodMagic.com here, joined by Dennis. We've managed to get together, finally at
Welcome.
last.
That is my bad, and I'm going to take a little second to explain what happened. So, yesterday, I'm in my final year of college, and yesterday was my final exam ever. So, hooray! So, at time of recording now, it is 2:15 p.m. on Tuesday. My final exam finished at noon on Monday, yesterday, and then I went for a drink after my final exam and didn't really stop from there. Haven't been to bed.
I don't
Got
know how
up
you look so good for not having slept for
like
like a
uh
day. I don't know how you managed that. I'm
yeah,
like about to go into work, so we've scheduled. We're living in different universes right now. You're like riding 24 hours of not having slept after finishing a test. I'm like, hey, I got to go back to the daily grind. So,
my last alcoholic beverage was at like 7:45 a.m. this morning.
oh,
Like
what? That's not even that long ago.
no, it
Jeez,
is. And you know what I'm doing immediately after this?
drinking again.
Going to a Muse concert. So
So yes.
I got
Okay.
a whole fucking all right, magic card design. Here we go.
All right. Episode 3. So we last left. If you don't know how the show works, let's explain that real quick.
Good idea.
Dennis and I are competing with each other. We get card specs from you, the commenters and viewers, and then we each design a card, and well, you guys judge which one you like more. So
Hmm.
last week it was Incensing Banishment versus Boros Armaments. I'm glad that it makes me happy that some people did guess that. They're like, I liked Alex's card, Boros Armaments, more.
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
saw a lot of
oh.
those. So
No,
spoiler
that
alert.
was that was Dennis's. Dennis completely annihilated me. Why don't we go to the scoreboard on this one? We can
Ooh,
check it out.
I don't know. I don't know the actual tally.
Here we
Ooh,
go.
that's bad.
5 to 25. Yep. All right.
Five
Dennis
to
got me pretty
one.
good there.
Oh,
So we can kind of critique each other's cards, and just from what I remember from the commenters, I'll try and inject a little bit of what they said too. So most people just loved yours, Dennis. They were like super flavorful. It makes sense.
the
Um,
issue that people have with my card is and I agree with it. It is a little boring.
I think that was the main critique.
Hmm.
The only other maybe minor critique I have, someone had a suggestion for a slight variation on your card that I think would have been an easy upgrade. And
Hmm.
all it would have been is if you control a white creature, creatures you
Right.
control get +0/+1 and gain vigilance if you control a red creature. And I think that would have actually been a pretty good fix because it still
Hmm.
kind of would have exemplified what your card's trying to
Yeah, my
do.
card is kind of weak too.
It kind of just feels a little bit common, maybe
Yeah,
less
that's fair.
more than uncommon, and it would have been a little bit cooler as an instant, even though I know it doesn't go with the vigilance as much, just
Sure.
so you could use it as a
As a
combat
trick.
trick.
Yeah.
But it's still like it. I mean, it fits perfectly. It makes sense, and it is a well-designed card, flavorfully and mechanically, so it does make sense.
Yours is like a crackling doomy ousty kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. People did not like the.
The
It
oust
seems like
effect.
most people do not like the white, as some commenter put it, the white tuck ability.
Hmm.
So people don't like that white has the ability to put creatures on top of their owners' libraries, and it's very seldom done. They don't do it a lot.
They don't do it anymore at all, really. The white thing is though, a lot of the time the white tuck ability is for like an attacking creature or like a creature in combat or whatever. Oust. I think oust is just a creature, isn't it? Though
Oust and uh, there's another one too
unexpectedly
from
absent.
Mirrodin Besieged, I think. Unexpectedly Absent, you're right, Doug, does tuck too. But there's also just Excommunicate, which
Yeah.
was 2 and a white that put it on top. And there's one more, like, not Banishing Stroke, that put on the bottom. But
Mm.
there's one that from, like, New Fire Exit for 5 mana that put on top. Or maybe it was Mirrored Siege, but 3 and 2 white put on top. So
Sure.
they've done it, but that's like the full extent of it. So it's not
Yeah.
a very common white ability.
I think your card was fine. I don't think you deserved a lot of the flack you got. If I'm perfectly honest, not that people were like, "Oh, your card's a piece of shit," but
I think they didn't feel it was Borosy enough, and especially compared to yours, which is clearly very Boros.
I went a very linear route with it. I was like, "Oh, here's this ability. Here's this other ability. Here's the Boros word," and then I spent ages looking for art, and that was it.
Well, I work great, so all the credit in the world to you. You get the point on that one, Dennis.
1-1.
It
Tied
is
up.
now 1-1. All right, so let's do commenters cards before we start this
Oh yeah.
next week's. So we've got some commenters cards. Here's one from Steam Vince, a commenter. It's Final Charge, and
I
this
know
is
him.
oh, do you? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so these are the comments
Hello.
that basically we tell people you can design your own, and we encourage you to do that for this week's card spec too. And if we like your design or we have the time and space for it, we'll put you in the next episode. So final charge is 1 red and 1 white sorcery. Uncommon, creatures you control get +2/+0 and gain first strike until end of turn. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. And then the flavor text is, if we fail, the city falls, we will not fail.
I
So it's
think
kind of,
if we're gonna go for if we're in my ballpark and we're doing flavor text critique, better flavor text is if we fail, the city falls, the city will not fall.
ooh,
I think
that
that's better, personally.
I wish I had your flavor text skill. All I see in the comments is like, oh, that one must be Dennis's. The flavor text is so good.
I
People
did a
love your
freaking game
flavor
show out of it.
text.
I think, like, from a design standpoint, this card is super interesting. It's really cool. It sucks. This is an awful, awful, awful card.
It's a very suicidal card.
It's
Uh,
not strong enough to what, like, I think, like, gold cards typically stronger than
Monocolor.
monocolored cards. Sorceries by function are typically more powerful inherently than instants because they have to make up for having to cast them during their main phase. Like, this is like +2/+0 first strike is better than Trumpet Blast, sure, but it's not better than Trumpet Blast on a sorcery because your opponent knows the creature has first strike in advance. And having to sacrifice all your creatures at the beginning of your end step. It's not like any number of creatures you control, sacrifice those creatures. It's everything no matter what. I don't like it seems really
I,
bad. I
I
don't mean
see what you're saying.
like from a design standpoint, it's an interesting like this kind of suicidal attack, I think is a really interesting design space, but the card just seems unplayably awful, I think.
Yeah, it almost needs to give them like
Trample.
trample instead
Trample.
of first strike, and then
Or menace would make more sense.
ooh, yeah. It's
Like,
it's just first strike doesn't push through the damage. That's the
mhm.
problem. Through
Like your
past the
opponent, the
blockers.
best case scenario for you, obviously the best case scenario is you win the game. But if we take it down from there one notch, the best case scenario is your opponent goes, all right, I chump all of your creatures to survive, and then that was just a wrath.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
that's true.
Worst case scenario, opponent's at 18, and they're like, take 12? Sure.
All your guys die.
All
Yeah,
your guys die. The templating doesn't work either. Sacrifice them, I don't think can't works properly as rules text.
yeah. Sacrifice
That's
those creatures at the beginning of the next end step.
Well,
Or
the issue is, say you cast this, then you attack, then you cast a creature in your second main phase. Does that creature get destroyed?
oh, it really should be sacrifice the attacking creatures at the beginning of the next end step, right? Because
You can say at the end of combat, sacrifice.
it shouldn't make you. Well, it certainly shouldn't make you sacrifice all your creatures if they didn't attack. The whole point is
To
flavorfully,
charge.
right? They're
Yeah.
attacking, and then that was their like last charge.
Or alternatively, you could have a creatures you control must attack if able this turn. Clause,
Yeah, that's true.
which is fine too.
So sorry, Steam Vince, we didn't mean to lay into you there.
No,
But
sorry, no,
as,
Miles, your card. His name's Miles. Miles, your card's cool, and it's a really interesting design space. And by no means am I an authority on this, like at all. But that's just what I think about.
okay, next, Matt Moore, and then of course he voted for. You can see who he voted for there. Well, Dennis vote there, but who didn't? And then it's
Who didn't?
advance cards, red, white, sorcery, uncommon. Put 2/1/1 red and white soldier tokens with haste and vigilance onto the battlefield. And then flavor text is negligence in the vanguard is a surefire way to curtail a career in the Legion.
It's fine flavor text. Curtail is an awkward wording. Negligence in the vanguard is a surefire way to continue. I would have gone for like a negligent career in the vanguard is a short career in the vanguard or something.
Oh, okay.
I'm a
See
big on
that.
like making things just a little funny, just a little bit funny. Like
I like your little. I like that you do the little tweaks though. You try and stay in the same vein of what they're trying to do. So
Yeah, not
I'm sure
yeah.
Matt Moore would
I
appreciate
think that
that.
would be
I
a
liked his flavor text. It was cool. And as far as card design, you get two dudes. They have haste and vigilance.
totally fine.
So
White vigilance ability, haste red ability, tokens red white ability. Yeah,
two
totally fine.
mana, two creatures. They have two abilities. Seems
I
like
don't
it
think
could
it's
probably be an uncommon.
see like Dragon Fodder is and all those cards, Krankos Man, all that are 2 mana for 2/1/1s. This has the upside of giving them haste, and Vigilance is minor. Upside of giving them haste, downside of being a gold card. That probably balances out, I guess.
This probably could be common still. I'm gonna say it. I don't think it would have to be uncommon.
Printing gold cards are common, unless it's like a full gold set. They
Yeah,
don't like
that's
to do that
true.
very much.
Yeah, and that's sort of where we're given the imagination design space on it
Mm-hmm.
is are we looking at it because I mean if you look at it like a Ravnica block then it definitely would have had a lot of gold commons, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if it was like well actually what's a set mostly it would be like I don't even know what kind of set would only have maybe 5. I mean if it would only have like 5 gold cards you wouldn't
Most
see
sets only have like 5, 10, 15 gold cards tops.
um is that what Shadows over Innistrad? Maybe that's an example.
Mm.
That has actually, do you notice that has all rare gold cards? That's a
Yeah,
set, so
there's a
that
lot going
would
on in
be,
the
I
set.
guess,
They
a
didn't
small
want to
set.
like. It's got flip cards. It's got transform. It's got delirium, which is a new mechanic. It's got skulk and clues. There's a lot of stuff going on. You don't need to add in gold
You
cards.
don't need that many gold cards. All right, I think there was one. Okay, one more commenter card from Triceranaps, who also voted for Boros Armaments, and then his red-white sorcery design for the week: arrows to the knees. And then the rules text: arrows to the knees deals 2 damage divided as you choose up to 2 target creatures. Tap those creatures. And then the flavor text is let's do the one he liked his he rewrote a reply, so let's use his better flavor text. Many believe the Mardu to be illiterate barbarians. However, their best warriors often consult the Elder Scrolls in search of ancient
Funny.
effective raiding techniques.
Um, I would say, can you make creatures lose specific creature types? I know you can say creature loses all creature types. Can you make it lose the specific creature type?
Loses all creature types. Yeah, I'm sure that's
No,
been
but can
done
you make it
before.
lose a creature type? Enchanted creature is
I don't
not
know if it's been done, but sure, you could do that.
because you could make them all not be adventurers
I
if you
li-
if you can do that until end
just
of
to
turn.
make it that much more
Yeah.
into. I like the Skyrim, reference,
Mm.
so I was into it. Actually, I think his even better flavor text maybe got a little too convoluted, maybe a little bit too long, but I see what he was going for with it, which I like a lot.
Yeah. As soon as the actual card design, it's a sweet card. Totally fine. I would. That's like my kind of metric is if I could see myself opening a pack of Magic cards and pulling that card out and be like, cool, then I'm sold because we're not actual designers.
Yeah. I mean, this
Yeah.
is Spark Mage's Gambit, except
Mm-hmm.
you get to tap the creatures instead of they can't block.
Which
So
is
it is
better.
it is definitely better. So and it's more costly, so it makes sense
Mm-hmm.
that it would be better. So I think it's a fine design. I like it.
I think you could go to at uncommon. Is it too much to go to 3 damage because that lets you tap 3 creatures?
I think this feels common, so 3 creatures probably would be fine at
Okay.
uncommon, definitely.
Okay. Or 3 damage.
Uh, but very cool. Thank you, Triceranaps. And I think we're on to the cards. So the card suggestion for this week's episode. This was chosen by Dennis, and the suggestion was actually from SeemsGoodMagic.com, and it was from Lopkip, who also voted for Boros Armaments. And then he went on to say, and Sensing Banishment seems too powerful for its rarity. And then, okay, for next week, I'd like to see an instant that costs red, green, and black at rare, and then perhaps a choose 2 effects type. I apologize, Lopkip. Neither Dennis or I chose the
A
choose 2
effect,
effects
choose two.
type. So,
I forgot that that was in the comment, which is why.
and I totally did not see your comment until after I'd already made my card. So I apologize. We did not do your choose 2 effects type, but we did do the red, green,
RGB rare.
black at rare. So, all right, we're going to jump into it. And remember, Dennis and I are not going to make any comments about the cards yet. We're going to wait until next week to do that. So
Do
I'm
tell
just
us
going to,
whose card do you think is whose though, because I really like that.
yeah, I'm just going to read the cards, and then we're going to go do some plugs, and then we'll be done. So, okay, here we go. Rise from the Ashes. Red, green, black, instant, rare. Rise from the Ashes deals 4 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, instead exile that card and put a 1/1 red and green dragon creature token with flying and devour 2 onto the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. And then the flavor text is, the only thing worse than crossing a dragon is crossing a dragon with hatchlings. Sarkin Vol. Next. Primal Rage. Red, green, black, instant, rare. Choose target creature you control. That creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Then it deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Regenerate it. Flavor text. There is no power stronger than the power within. Okay, once again, we've got Rise from the Ashes, Primal Rage. I will have the links to these cards in the video description. Feel free to click and look at them at any time if it helps you come to a judgment and evaluation. Dennis, where can we find you?
You can find me here every week, usually on Sundays, but not this week, I'm afraid. You can also find me at youtube.com/windmillslamemtg or windmillslamemtg.com. You can find me on Twitter at Stranjak, and you can find us on Twitter at windmillslamemtg.
Okay, and you can find this podcast on Twitter at what's the Twitter again? I love your pronunciation of it every week.
Wikia Podcast.
The Wikia Podcast. WCIIA Podcast at WCIIA Podcast. Whose card is it anyway? Podcast, which was too long. So let's not preface it every time. You get it. And then contact us at whosecardisitAnyway@gmail.com if you have a suggestion. Otherwise, leave a comment with a suggestion for next week, and be sure to vote and make it clear for us who you're voting for. None of this like, I really like
Boros
this card.
Armaments. Like, oh, that's great. I really like Boros Armaments, but Incensing Banishment is more interesting. I'm like,
which one's the vote? We can't count those. So just make it clear who you're voting for, and then you can go to town critiquing either one.
Absolutely.
And is that all? Oh, yeah. Remember, if you want to suggest for next week, there's 4 things you need to tell us. You need to tell us the casting cost. You need to tell us the rarity. And casting costs, I mean like colors too. So be sure to do that. Then tell us the card type, and which I always forget one.
Power and toughness if it's a creature. Oh no, they didn't do that. What is the other one?
Card rating, card type, card rarity. There's a 4th.
Color, like today we got.
Wait, no, that was it. No, you're right. That was it. Color, casting cost, type, rarity. Those are the 4. I just combined. I think we just combined
cost and
color and casting cost. But yes, those are the 4. And remember, you can inject. Even though we didn't do it for LabKip, once again, apologize. You can inject your own little like spin on what you want us to do, and we'll try and do that for the next one if we can remember.
What I think would be interesting is I probably should have run this by you before, is if people are like, design a card called blank. You know? Design a card called Righteous Oblation or whatever. And then like it's a 2 and a white instant. What does that card do?
I guess I'm okay doing that.
And that's interesting.
I'm sure we're gonna be experimenting around. So if you have a name suggestion that you have your heart set on the name being, and we choose your card. That's a different
kind of axis, because what we're doing here is like, okay, here's the colors, here's the cost. What would a card that costs this and do that do? Whereas otherwise, if it's like, here's a name of a card, what would that card do? You're like, well, what does that feel like it should do? You know, and that's a different. Well, maybe we can save it for a later date. But feel free.
If we do enough episodes, I know one of these days somehow we're going to end up designing the same exact card. That would be
amazing.
All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Bye bye.